Welcome to Mind Your Wedding Business Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago. Each week on this podcast, you'll hear thought-provoking and empowering interviews with wedding professionals who have found success in the industry. If you're a business-minded wedding pro who loves love, but also cares about their bottom line, buckle up and get ready to learn from a new industry expert each week. All right, folks, we're excited to get going. We have Nora Sheils here. She's going to be talking to us about key strategies for mastering expectations with high-end clients. We have a lot to probably unpackage in that right there. So, and she's with Rock, Paper, Coin as well. She's the co-founder. That's amazing. So we'll have to talk about that towards the end. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How about you?
It's just another day. You're having fun, as we
another
go
day,
through.
busy season. No big deal.
Yeah. Just it is what it is. So, all right. So we're going to be talking about high-end clients today. So how do their expectations differ from just your everyday clients?
High-end clients are used to, they're used to special events. They're used to high-end services. They're going to hire an interior designer. They're going to hire an organizer. They have all of these different services that they're used to hiring, rather than your like run-of-the-mill couple that's planning a wedding and it's their first time booking a photographer or a party planner or something like that. So they just have a little more experience and higher expectations.
So since they do have higher expectations, like what are some of the things that like we could do as clients to help, meet those expectations?
Well, I think like one of the most important things is setting the expectations or what they should be upfront, because while they might have some high-end expectations, they may not have booked a high-end package, or they may not have, there might not have been that communication early on. So having that conversation of, okay, you've booked my services. I'm so excited to work with you. This is what you can expect working from me. My hours are, 8 to 5. I don't work Mondays and Tuesdays like your crew, Kevin, and what most vendors should do. And just like being really open with them, making sure they understand what they've booked. I would assume a high-end luxury client is going to book your biggest, most inclusive package, but that's not always the case. So all because somebody has come to you saying, like, let's take wedding planning, for example, all because they've come to you and said, oh, I want to book your partial package. Say, great, let's book it. This is what happens. Instead, really learning about what they want out of a planning experience, what their event is like a partial package is probably not the best fit. So educating them up front, and not necessarily trying to upsell them, even though that's a part of it, but you have to make sure what you're offering them is a good fit for their needs. And most likely it's going to be a higher tier of service than, your smallest or medium package.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm like, educating the client was, that's amazing. But then also, because they'll come in and sometimes I feel like we've all had that client, like where you're like, oh, they needed this because, they just have those needs. You could just tell, like from phone calls and emails and all that kind of stuff.
Totally. And a lot of wedding pros are, they don't love sales. They want to do their craft, they're artists. And so like being open and like trying to upsell to a higher package, they see that as pushy, instead of, in actuality, it's providing a better service to your client because they're going to be happier when all is said and done.
Well, it's amazing. You're right. No, I was just like, it's so, I'm like in my head, I'm going back and thinking about all the times that we've had these experiences. And I'm like, if we would have done the education on the front end, we probably would have been, the whole thing would have been a whole lot, easier going through. So,
right. And the client would have probably been happier too.
Yeah, it would have been probably all a win-win. So I guess that's why
we've all done it.
I know. That's why we learn. If that's why we got to continue to learn. I mean, it's all part of
Exactly.
it. So, all right. So, tell us some of these strategies that
Yeah.
like. Yeah, let's get going.
Okay, so communication is key. You've set
Okay.
like the expectations up front. You need to stick with those. So if you have promised your client monthly check-ins or weekly check-ins, like by God, you better do those. And when they have, email you questions, you need to make sure that they're all answered. You'd be surprised how many event pros will get an email and answer a portion of it and
No, it
not the
happens all
rest
the
of
time.
it.
Drives me nuts. The
Drives
client,
me
but
nuts.
I will be honest with you, clients do the same thing. But it's just like, hello, I really
Totally.
needed in the middle there. You answered the first part and the in the end, but how about with the answer to the middle? Because that was the part I really needed. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm
And
sorry.
so I like to keep it as like easy as possible. So like bullet points,
Hmm.
numbers. So there's not like a huge paragraph that they need to read through to get
Yeah,
to what
that's
they
a
need to do.
good idea. Good idea.
I also really like responding in different colors. So if it's
Oh,
like, say I've sent you a list of, hey, I have these 5 questions, and you respond with your answers, I'm going to go back to your response, and then in pink or red or whatever, I'm going to make a note or ask a follow-up question or something. So again, they're not having to scroll and read through. The whole conversation is like right there. So it's super,
hmm.
super easy. And that's the other thing. Like, don't pepper your clients with a bunch of one-off emails or texts or phone calls. Like, save it for a meeting, have your agenda, or, do the bullet points so it's all in one place. Because whether they're high end or not, everybody's busy right now.
Hmm.
And like, this is not going to be helpful to them.
No.
So, and then as far as communication goes, respond as quickly as possible. Definitely stick to your office hours or the boundaries that you've set. But I don't think it should ever take more than 24 hours to respond to somebody, whether it's a client or a vendor or a coworker. Ideally, it's much, much less than that. But you have to respond quickly.
Hmm.
These couples it's their one or two or, however many times they've done it, but like it's their number one priority. So whether you have 2 other clients or 20 other clients, your client, every single one needs to feel like they're a priority.
Hmm.
And a lot of that is just with communication.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of texting clients. I think it opens the door to over communicating and like kind of pushes the boundaries of
Hmm.
your like work relationship. I also think it's harder to keep track of texts. I love that now you can mark a text as unread, whereas before you couldn't. And if I had a read text, it was like dead unless I responded. So I know that it's not necessarily a popular opinion. I prefer to keep everything on email.
Hmm.
So, we'll Zoom, talk in person, text every once in a while, but I will always follow up with an email outlining the conversation. So if there is ever any question or any doubt about a decision that was made, it is documented and everyone has that. So, so that's another piece of communication I think is really, really important, is to just be really transparent, but keep it like clean and easy. Also, and this is a tip, not necessarily only for high-end clients, but we all have hiccups that happen in whatever type of category we're in. You don't have enough sound equipment. A planner doesn't have an assistant. There are a million different things that can go wrong, but never present a problem to your client before you have a solution or a couple options in place to fix it.
Hmm.
Because what's the point? Now they're
Yeah.
stressed out and you're going to have to do the work to fix it anyway. So why even bug them with it? Unless it's like some crazy dire issue. I always recommend having a couple options in place because they're going to be disappointed most likely with whatever you're presenting them with. But if you have a good solution, then like you've totally saved the day and you're the hero.
Yeah.
So it's a win.
Well, you're allowed to cuss. Shit does happen, and I think it's, yeah,
100%.
and it happens all the time. Like you said, we're not like a movie set where we get to do it. We get 5 takes or 20 takes to get it right. We only get a chance to get it right once. So, between that and being really good at improv, That's,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
You're only going to be good in this business if you can think on your toes.
Oh,
And
for sure.
every single amazing wedding professional and event professional I know is really good at that. You're like a duck, with your feet below water.
Oh, yeah.
Flexibility obviously is key, especially with high-end weddings. A lot of these couples are traveling a ton. They work long hours, things like that. So yes, you should have boundaries on what your working hours are, but that should be a little flexible at the same time.
Oh,
Sorry.
just real quick. No, just real quick on the flexibility. So like if you put the boundary up, like you don't meet with clients on Sundays, but they're going to be in town and that's the only time, like, is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I like a one-timer kind of, like working with them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And just make it clear, like, this is typically one of my only days off, but because you're, a valued out-of-town client, whatever it is, make them feel good about it. But just be clear that this is not typical of your working hours and you're stepping outside of it. And that way they're not going to continue to ask, because couples are going to push and push and push until you say no. Yeah. So they're just waiting. And a lot of event pros, they want to just make sure their clients are happy and work long hours. And that's great. But you're not necessarily making them unhappy. And to be honest, I think couples have more respect for their event pros when they do have boundaries. Otherwise,
I agree.
If your vendors are okay with you walking all over them, then like they're not that professional, right?
Well, I just worked a wedding and like the bride was texting the photographer in the middle of the wedding, and I'm like, but I was like, and I'm like, the boundaries are like gone at that point. I mean, it's just like, I'm like, we're all at the same event, like how can we? I'm like, this was so unnecessary. I don't know. Anyway, it was
also
weird.
Enjoy your wedding. Why are you micromanaging?
Well, I still to this day will never forget. There was a bride that brought the timeline with her, and sat it at the sweetheart table with her, and we all kept trying to steal it from her. Because we're like, you just need to enjoy this event that you planned and let it. I go, we're probably not going to be at 6:45 doing whatever's on that list at 6:45. It's just the way reality is, but we're going to follow the order and we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
But,
she had one of those timelines that was like 6:42, 6:43.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's cute.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No. Let's see. Other things, just making the whole experience easy. Like I said earlier, kind of like when you're not peppering people with emails, it's really the whole experience. So like compare it to going on a flight. If you are paying for a first class ticket, you get to skip the lines, you get a cocktail once you board and whenever you want. Someone's going to take your coat. There are all these different amenities that come with that. But if you fly a budget airline, you are going to fight for
Southwest.
You're going to fight for overhead space. Some of them charge you for water. I just heard the other day.
Yeah, that's the low. That's the low. Yeah.
But you get what you pay for. And so high-end clients, they expect their investment to really equate to like an easy, convenient experience. So you, as the event pro, have to do whatever you can to make that experience easy and enjoyable for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy. Just make it easy. No problem.
Easy?
Right?
Well, I mean, that's our job. And I think for high end or low end, just making it easy. But, I'm sure it goes a long way with the higher end clients. So
totally.
Yeah.
And then people, especially we've noticed with luxury clients, really want this like relationship with their event pros. And so again, making them feel like a priority and interacting on like social and maybe before a meeting, checking out their Instagram and being like, oh, how was that trip to, whatever. So, they think you're actively paying attention to their social lives, but just making them feel like a priority.
That's interesting. I never thought about the relationship side of it. That's probably a big piece, right?
Huge. And the
Yeah.
great thing about that is once you can build that relationship early on, they're going to trust you instantly. You've connected, you understand their style, you understand what makes them tick, and they will trust you with more. So you don't have to ask for approval for every little thing. They just know that you understand what they want.
So now, just randomly, because it just popped in my head,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, I crazy that way.
No,
So
don't
now,
be.
like high-end clients are different than famous clients, but you're gonna have some clients that have some fame to themselves. I mean, is there a difference between treating them, differently?
No. This is total generalization,
Yeah.
but most of our luxury clients, they are not as high maintenance as the celebrity clients. And
Yeah.
granted, the celebrity clients that my team has worked with are not like A-list celebrities. So this is probably a different answer for that. But the celebrity clients are definitely like social, and what's put out there is really, really important. Our luxury clients typically don't even want photos posted. They don't want their names out there. They don't want photo. Even if there's not a person in the photo, like they're very private for the most part, which I totally understand, but is a bummer when it's like a crazy, beautiful wedding. And actually there was a conversation on a board that I'm on about, do you charge more if your clients don't let you use their photos?
I was just going to ask around that. Like how do you show other high-end clients what you can do? Will they allow you to put it in your portfolio and not, and not put it out on social or,
Yeah. In my experience, it's really just their names and faces that they don't want out there. So we always have in our contract, like, approval to use their images however we want. And people will come back. So we don't change that initially. Sometimes it's fine and nobody has an issue with it. Other times they'll come back and we'll say, totally understand. We can leave your names and your likeness out, but can we use room shots or detail shots and not related to you at all? And 99% of the time they're fine with that.
Yeah.
And that's what, as a planner or a florist or a designer, that's what you want anyway, right?
Yeah, we did an event for pretty famous in the Bay Area rapper, and it was very interesting dealing with all the different, thing. And that was like one that we just dealt with actually just before COVID hit. But it was kind of crazy because all the different, we had a writer of all these different things, and his attorney came back and went through and all the different things.
Oh my gosh.
And they allowed us to do a lot of different things, but on the day of, we had no cell phone. Like we had to, we had to put our cell phones away. They got in those. Have you ever been to a comedy show? I feel like we just went and saw Kevin Hart, and I literally had to put
I love him.
my watch and my cell phone in this bag, and then I got something, and then at the end of the day, I gave it back, and they matched up my bag, and out it came. It was crazy.
Was everybody so anxious without their phones?
Well, no, I didn't know what to do. I mean, we were like, yeah, you're right. But it was that way during the event because I found like I normally will take some photos with my phone and I will text with the coordinate, like behind, like us will text each other like, hey, go time for this. And, like going back, it was a little anxious,
Oh my gosh.
We had to find other ways to communicate. Anyway.
Imagine that.
So where would you suggest someone start when revamping their client, experience to, reflect these new expectations? Like, where would they start?
I think at the very beginning. So from before that they even book you, you have to have like go through what you do step by step. So you get an inquiry. What happens? Is that client getting an automated response? Are you writing something from scratch every time or using a template? High-end couples don't want automated responses. They want they want to know that event professional wants to work with them and they care about their potential booking. So getting, if they plug in something on your website, they don't want an email that says, "Hey, thanks for reaching out. Here's my PDF of options." It's just not a elevated service. They want a more kind of curated response, and curated from response all the way through. So when you meet with them, having an understanding of who they are. So before you've even met these people, do your homework, Google them. There are a million different places you can get information on people. Check out their LinkedIn, find out what they do. And that'll kind of help you understand a little bit about them and kind of what questions to ask in that original inquiry or consultation. And you might have mutual friends or acquaintances or past clients. And people love it when you say, "Oh, I was so excited to chat with you. I checked out your Instagram before, or Facebook, or, whatever it is." People like knowing that you stalked them. Which sounds crazy, because before you would never say that, right? But they like to hear it now. And so they're like, "Oh, that was so cool that I wasn't just, one in 100 people they were talking to this week." All the way from booking, from beginning of planning, I like gifting as well. Not in a way that's like super over the top expensive, but more in a personal way. So if in your consultation, your couple is talking about how they really want to include their dog in their wedding, then send a gift to their dog. It doesn't have to be expensive, but like it's sending a gift to someone's kids. Like they love it. It does. It's more the thought and the personality of it, rather than just like the same welcome gift that goes to every single client.
Well,
so
again, a deeper way of connecting too.
Yeah. And a way to build trust from the beginning, because that's kind of the goal, is early on, have them trust you, and the whole rest of the experience will be easy. So, tie in their backgrounds for these gifts, or for like the different ideas that you're sharing with them. Childhood favorites, nostalgia always helps. And then from there, everything has to be very detailed. These are the types of weddings, like you've got Lynn Easton that does the highest of the high. And what differentiates her from everybody else is her design, her level of detail, her execution. So it's not just a run of the mill. She never does the same thing twice. Couples their goal is to like outshine all of their friends. They want to one up them in every possible way that they can. And when the budget is unlimited, you have to think outside the box and present things that you didn't just find on Pinterest. So get creative, get inspiration. But regardless of cost, if it's going to be like a wow factor, they'll probably do it because they've never seen it before, and their friends are going to talk about it for years.
Yeah. Well, so I'm in the middle, or I'm just theoretically there, and I'm wanting to get to the higher end. How do you service both clients until you can get into that higher end? Market, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a mesh, right? Or
the easiest way.
It seems hard.
I think it is hard. It is hard. And I will tell you that almost every high-end vendor I know doesn't only do high-end. It's a hybrid of the two, because there are only so many high-end weddings per year, especially depending on your location. I mean, you probably have more than the average amount, but that area you're in California, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Bay, I'm in Bay Area.
Area, okay.
So, but even in LA, they do. LA, you walk down the street, you'll see someone famous. But here, there's a fair amount. It's a different kind of famous. It's
exactly
tech famous, and it's they developed something, or they're part of something. It's a different kind of famous. Yeah, because every once in a while I'll be like, who? And I'm like looking them up on LinkedIn. I'm like, wow, they invented the iPhone. I'm just making it up, but it's like I'm like, holy cow, like totally. That kind of stuff. But they don't come across that way. So that's why I'm like, how do I get there, as someone wanting to get there.
So I think the easiest way to work with high-end clients is to connect with other event pros that work with high-end clients. So planners, photographers, all of those different networks that can refer you. If you take care of them, they're going to refer you to take care of their clients. So when you work with the high-end planner, for example, obviously you're going to do a stellar job and impress them. So they'll refer you again. That's the number one way, but also keep in touch. So, follow up with them, send a handwritten thank you card for having you at the wedding. There are different ways to stay top of mind. But of course, the best way is to excel at your craft. I know there are a lot of newer event pros that their goal is to work with luxury clients. Well, you kind of have to pay your dues, and you have to really know and understand your craft before you can book these events with extraordinary price tags. Because unless you're doing like a high-end job, you can't take those clients. And if you do take one and you're not ready and it doesn't go well, word gets out pretty quick. So that's like one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah, that would be horrible. So once again, we were talking about the middle, trying to get there. Would going and attending like a conference like Engage or any of, one of those, is that a good like step to help get you going? Okay.
Engage is an incredible way to meet people. And what's different about Engage is that everyone is there like to connect and learn. It's not necessarily one of those conferences where there are booths and you go around and you get flyers and promotional items. Like the goal of Engage is to connect with people throughout the country. There are international folks that come that are like at the top of their game. So, plus it's really fun. So yeah, it's a good experience. If you can put on an event that impresses event professionals, like you're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're the worst critics of everything.
The worst.
We are. I mean, I've been to conferences and I'm like, seriously, you can't do it. I'm like, look at the, and we're like, we're picking apart the event. And I'm like, and then meanwhile, some poor planner like worked their rear end off to plan this all for us. But, but yet that's why it's very stressful anytime you like sponsor, an ILEA or a NACE or a WIPA event, it's just because you're putting yourself out there for criticism,
for sure,
100%. But if you do it right and treat it right, it's going to go a long way for you. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, all right. Anything else we need to cover in this?
Other things to cover. So part of making the process easy is meeting the clients where they are. And a lot of clients are, in their late 20s, early 30s, getting married for the first time. And they live in the digital age where everything is at their fingertips. They can get whatever they want in, less than an hour. Their whole life is digitized. And so that has to be a part of how you run your business. Gone are the days of sending a PDF and expecting somebody to mail you a check. I mean, couples today, many of them don't even know how to write checks, if we're being honest. Like they never had to. It doesn't make sense anymore. So event pros are slowly catching up with all of the different platforms and apps out there available to them. I wish that they did more because I think a lot of event pros would work less, having more of their processes automated. And automating some of what you do is totally fine. You still get that personal experience. You just can't automate everything.
Gotcha.
Like I said, like the inquiry, don't automate that. But if there are like little like payment reminders, things like that, your couples they get automations all over the place and they appreciate it, especially with like payments, contracts, things like that. If they're reminded when they have to pay something so they don't have to put it on their calendar or remember it, that makes their life easier. So try to sync up with a tech stack that is not only going to make your life easier as an event pro, but also the lives of your clients.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well,
since we have the co-founder of Rock Paper Coin, can you tell us a little bit about Rock Paper Coin and how it maybe will help us get more high-end clients?
That was a great little segue. So Rock Paper Coin. So I'm a past planner. I own a company called Bridal Bliss in the Pacific Northwest. And it was through my experience as a planner that I found myself doing the same things over and over again. It was super repetitive. I felt like I was babysitting my clients for them to get their paperwork done and everything. And I was kind of out of the loop. So we set out to find software that already existed, and none of them really understand how the wedding world turned. And so we built it. So enter Rock Paper Coin. We are a software platform made specifically for the wedding and events industry. We focus on proposals, contracts, invoices, shared documents. So that booking process is made really, really easy, and we allow for those automations. So if you send out an invoice with 5 different installments and 5 different due dates, your clients going to get a reminder before everyone. They can set up auto pay. Their life is easier. Your life is easier. You get paid in less than 2 days, and we have the lowest processing fee on the market at 2.5%.
No, you can't beat that.
In a nutshell, that's what we do.
Now, is there anything in the horizon? Like, are we expanding Rock Paper Coin? Anything that you guys are looking at, or?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. So we have a full development team. We put out updates every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so, some are small little updates, some are bigger ones. So we recently just updated our contract experience. So you can now have multiple signers on a contract instead of just one person. We also just put out some features where businesses can work together on Rock Paper Coin. So, if you had ordered some printed items from a printer, that person could invoice you on RPC, even though you're another event pro on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So functionality like that. We have a lot coming. We're working on a couple integrations, and I'm not allowed to say anything yet. But there are exciting things coming. So just follow us. We're at Rock Paper Coin on Instagram. We always release updates on there. And then we have a great newsletter if anyone wants to sign up.
Well, I think we all should sign up.
I do too.
Not if we want to. I think it's a must. I think we have to. So, all right. So something other that we talk about a lot is socks. So you brought us some socks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
So we got to see the socks. You were prepared.
Okay, so I have to explain these socks. So I don't know if you can see them. So this is my oldest. This is my youngest. This is my nephew. And so for Mother's Day, my brother brought these socks over, and this is their little baby announcement.
Oh,
so I'm going to have
exciting.
another niece or nephew.
Well, that's awesome.
So
actually,
these are my fun socks.
Those are actually the best socks I think I've seen. That's an amazing way to do it. So
I know, it was so fun.
You can't beat it. So, and then I know my sister, as I refer to her, Megan Ely. I have socks with her face on them. So.
I know you do. She's one of my favorite people.
Yeah. I have a good older sister. I do. So, all right. And then, Rock Paper Coin is a great, app and software service. But what is something you can't get through? I'm a big techie person. I love apps. Yeah. What's an app that you can't live without?
Okay, it's called 1Password, and it is incredible. So there's an app for my phone. It's on my computer, but it's exactly what it sounds. You have one master password, and it saves all of your other logins, your credit card numbers, any other things that you want to keep secure. So whenever I go to a website and it asks for my login, it'll automatically just plug it in for me. So I never have to remember. Like a year ago, my wallet was stolen with all of my credit cards, and it was all saved on that app. So I could access all of it. It was so great. So I'm a huge fan of
easier.
1Pass, and it's super inexpensive.
Yeah. Well, and it has it to where you can set up employees, right? And then, and then that way, if they leave you or you have to let them go, they're gone and they don't ever have access to the passwords, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
So you're not having Yeah, because I just had a friend that we had to let, such and such go. And she's like, I spent the whole day changing all the passwords because this person knew. I'm like, why don't you have one of these? And she goes, I didn't even know there was such thing,
Yeah. The other piece of that is that it's super easy to share passwords. So if you have shared logins to any platforms, you can just, put it on there. And if you do have to change it for whatever reason, it updates everybody at the same time. And it's all super secure. And if you're signing up for a new subscription or whatever it is, it will recommend crazy long random passwords for you to use. And it just saves it. So you don't have to remember anything.
Yeah, make sure. And you can update it. You can change your password pretty easily as well. Yeah. So, yeah.
Big fan.
No, I agree. That's it. And it's a time, like you said, time saver, safety. I mean, like our whole world is online now. So it just makes life so much better. So, all right. Another question we asked here is, what's your favorite part of a wedding, Nora?
Okay. So as a guest or an event professional or both?
Oh, either one. I've never had it. I like both. Let's do both.
Okay. So as a planner, my favorite part was walking the couple into their reception before any of the guests had come, because you work so hard to curate this amazing design board and go through all these trials. And when they walk in and they see it all together and their jaw drops, it's just the best. And it's just you. So you have this fun moment before all the guests show up. Mm-hmm. So I love that. I always love watching the person at the end of the aisle, whoever it might be, watching their face when their future spouse walks in. That's always a cool, touchy-feely moment. That's when you always tear up. But as a guest, I love toasts. I always think that's super fun.
I agree. It's funny. Toasts are I'll find myself crying, laughing, and I don't even know. I don't know these people, but I'm over there. They have some amazing story. And I just had a dad recently at a wedding roast his daughter, and it was amazing. It was done such, and she goes, my dad's going to probably get me. And it was after getting to know a little bit about the two of them, that's their relationship, that's their love language. And it was probably one of the best toasts I've heard in a long time. It was amazing.
I love that.
So yeah, we were laughing, crying, the whole thing.
I was on site at a wedding a couple weeks ago, and we have new assistants every season. And so I was telling them, okay, so this is what we do at every cocktail hour. You're kind of, as a planner, most has been done at that point. All the reception's done, candles are lit. You're just waiting for them to finish cocktailing. And so we're kind of in the background, and we always pick our favorite dress or outfit. Okay. And then we guess whose underwear we're going to see first at the reception.
Oh my gosh.
It could be someone in a short dress. It could be somebody in a suit that's too tight. You never know, but it's always so funny to do that. And I've gotten pretty good at it.
Oh, wow. That's a good skill there, Nora. I don't know.
Fun fact.
How do we market that? How do we get you famous? No, I'm
sure high-end clients would love that.
It's funny. I just worked a wedding last weekend, and the groom, I'm putting a microphone on him, and I'm like, dude, your suit. He goes, and he dropped the F word. He goes, this effing suit is so tight. I go, well, and I looked at him like, didn't you try it on before? And he goes, I did, but it felt, I'm like, oh, okay. You ate a lot before.
Classic.
I'm like, the poor kid. He was like, and then we had a wedding the week before where the bride, she couldn't even sit down. She had to lay like a board. And so we had to get through the first dance and speeches as fast as we could so she can go change her dress. And breathe, because she had another dress.
Good thing she had a dancing dress.
Yeah. No kidding, huh? So anyway.
Funny.
All right, Nora, great, amazing stuff. For those people that are trying to get in with the higher end clientele, it's always I think it's a lot of work, and I think people are, like you said, they want to get there, but I don't think some people want to actually do all the work to get there. So, it's a different beast.
It is. So, it is a different beast, but it can be fun.
Yeah, well, it could be fun for sure. And it's a good thing to add to your portfolio as well.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, Nora, I can't thank you enough for being here. You were so much. I hope you will come back again
Of course.
I'm
good
sure
to see you, Kevin.
Good to see you too. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business podcast, brought to you by Wedding IQ. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me if you have a topic you would like for me to cover, or if you are in the area of your business you're struggling with, let us know. We'll be happy to help. I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. It helps others find our podcast so they can learn from our guests too. Thanks again for listening.